Hello, Stampers. I've got an easy birthday card for you today. This is Michelle Zindorf. Thanks for joining me here on YouTube. I have just a simple little card here. It goes together pretty quick. We're going to go step by step through this as normal. And we're going to be using the Woodland Scenery stamp set from Stampin Up. And this has like so many different little elements for scenes that I've been having a great fun time with. So we're going to be using that. And then just for the sentiment, I just pulled in the Simply Said stamp set. The stamp set has so many different sentiments for you to use. Will pretty much take you through the year. So we're going to get started on our main panel for this card. And you can find all the dimensions for this card down below this video. Just click more under the description. You'll see them all there, along with the links to the products that'll take you to my online store where you can shop with me 24/7 for all of your Stampin' Up needs. So I have a little basic white panel here that's 3-inch square. And that's what we're going to use for our main panel. I'm working small today, so we have these little trees. They're just a little tiny tree. There's actually a couple different trees in here. There's one single one, and then there's one that has a group of trees. We're going to be using the single tree today. And one thing about this, when we ink it up, we are not going to ink up the ground that is on the image. So keep that in mind as you're inking up. We're going to be using Early Espresso ink. So when I ink up the stamp, I'm just going to ink it up on the side here. And it's nice that it's clear so you can kind of look through the back. Just make sure you're not getting that ground in. And you don't have to worry about getting all the trunk in because we're going to actually use a marker and pull our trunk down. So that'll be easy peasy. So I'm going to start over here on the right side. And I'm going to add one of our little trees here. And see how it doesn't have very much of a trunk. That is fine. That's what we're looking for. And I want these to be different heights. So this next one I'm going to come in, I'm going to go a little lower. Your trees aren't always going to be the same height. And it looks better if you have some that are higher and some that are lower. Just, it's more natural. Trees don't grow up like little soldiers all in a row. Okay, so I'm going to just make a little space here. And I'm going to stamp another tree. So I want that little space in there. Then I'm going to ink another one up. We're going to go higher with this one. It's okay to overlap them just a bit. And I think I'll even go a little higher with this next one. And maybe have a little shorter one like right here on the edge. That's low. Okay, so there we have some trees going on. And that was Early Espresso. So I have an Early Espresso Stampin' Right marker here, and I'm just going to use the fine point. Actually, I'm going to use the brush point. I'm going to use the brush point, and I'm just going to bring these little trunks down just a bit. And the trunks I'm going to bring down, and they're going to be pretty much level with each other. So there's that, and then they just look better that way. And remember that your tree trunk you want to have wider at the bottom and go narrower at the top. So after you make your little line there, you see that your tree trunk is a little wider up towards the tree branches, then you'll want to widen the base of it. There we go. And we don't need a tree trunk for the next one. Now we're going to add some color to our little trees here. And what I need to do is I have a mask here. And I created this mask just out of Post-it note. I have a double layer of Post-it notes here. And I just punched a 1-inch circle punch in the middle of our Post-it note. Now you can use like a die cut if you don't have the 1-inch circle punch. Just use what you have. And our first little tree here, I'm just going to line the branches up in the center of that circle. And I'm going to use some pumpkin pie here. And a blending brush. And I'm just going to go over a little mask here to create that circle. And that'll be like our leafy area for our tree. And I'm going to pick one over here. I'm going to do that same thing. Right? Now I'm going to change colors. And I'm going to go with Pool Party next. I know we got a little different colors going on today. So we're going to pull in some Pool Party. And a blending brush. And for this tree here, I'm going to center that up. And we're just going to add some Pool Party there. I love this look. This gives you the look of fall leaves without a lot of work. And I think I'll do this one here with Pool Party. And I love the way they kind of overlap. It does give you that fall woods look. Okay, so we got two of those. And then I think I'm going to do pecan pie for the next one. Nope, it's crumb cake. We're going to do crumb cake for the next couple. Switch out my little brush here. And line my tree branches up there. Give a little color there. And then this one here that we just have just a tiny bit of those branches showing, we're going to be off the paper mostly. And there we go. We have our little side tree there. Okay, so we're done with our little mask. And now I'm going to take some of this crumb cake and I'm going to do some ground here. Now I want to create like a little road or a little path in between these trees here. So I'm just bringing that crumb cake in, and now from this side, when I bring it in, I'm going to leave a gap. Just so we have some space there. I love making little scenes. My favorite thing is just to grab a stamp set and just see what kind of scene I can make with it. So there is our little, see our little path there? Now you can make that wider, you can make it more narrow. There we go, and that was with our crumb cake. And I think I'm going to bring in some of that Pool Party. That greeny looking color, green blue. I'm just going to add some of that to our grass, a little our road, or bring that into our dirt there, just to give it a little more color, a little variation. So I like that. See how that's, we got some different color going on there. And now I think I'm going to add just a little bit of that pumpkin. I'm going to use the tip of my brush here, just add a little color. And I'm going to add a little color here right under these trees that we have going on. Like they have lost their leaves. So I have a little color going on up there underneath that. Okay, and now we have a little stamp here. And this has, it looks like little flowers or snowflakes. You could use them for either or. And we're going to use them for our leaves on the ground this time. It's just 3 little flower looking things. We've got to use our imagination here. And we're going to add some of these underneath our trees as our fallen leaves. There we go. So we used some for pumpkin pie. Let's bring in a couple of our other colors here. How about we'll do some Pool Party ones. That's fun. Here we go. Now we have some leaves under our trees. I'm liking that. All right. So next we need to put our little deer in. This is just a sweet little deer from our Woodland Scenery stamp set, and I'm going to stamp him in our Early Espresso. I'm going to stamp him over here at the side of the cardstock, like he's in the grassy area. There we go. I kind of like to stamp my images so that they're going into the scene. So you can stamp him over here, but if you do, I would make him more towards the middle of the cardstock, just so he has somewhere to go, so he's not like drifting off the page. So if you use this bear, you could switch that image out for the bear, but if I had using the bear, I'd use it on this side, so he looks like he's going into the scene instead of out of. I hope that makes sense. You do it, you do you, but so I did a happy birthday on the outside of this card, but I think I'm going to take that sentiment and put it on the inside of this card that we're creating here. I think it's a little bold for the front there, so I'm going to switch it up just for this demonstration. So I'm going to bring in the inside of my card here. Now we're going to put that aside. I kind of like it just what, don't you? It's a little not so busy as this one. So I have the inside of my card here, and this is Pool Party. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to stay with that Early Espresso, and I'm going to use that the birthday wishes from the Simply Said stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp it on the inside of our card. There we go. And they're both birthday cards, just one has the sentiment on the front, one has it on the inside. And guess what? We're all ready to start putting this together. So we have our stamped panels. We have our other pieces here. I'm going to take our card base. This is Crumb Cake, and it's 5.5 by 8.5, and then I folded it in half to create my quarter card. I'm going to go ahead and put the inside of my card in. And I'm using multi-purpose glue today to do this. This is my favorite because it gives me time to move things around if I find I've stuck it somewhere crooked. So it gives me a minute to scooch things around. Not always accurate on my first try. There we go. So for the outside, we're going to take a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of Country Wood Designer Series paper. If you haven't picked up this wood pack, it's very handy because it goes with so many different scenes. And one side is just as pretty as the next. See how dark that one is? That's really pretty, isn't it? And then we have the light version here on the outside, but it has all different colors of wood. So pick that up. That's the Country Wood Designer Series paper pack. Okay, so we got that on there. Now we're going to put some strips of paper. I have one strip of Pool Party, and this is, let's see, it's 3/4 of an inch wide by 6 1/4 inch long. And then we have 2 strips of Pumpkin Pie, and they are a 1/2 inch wide by 6 1/4. So we're going to put these on like this on our cardstock, and I have them a little longer than what's necessary, just because it's better to have them longer than find yourself short on these. So I'm just going to kind of line these up. These are going to be our design on the front of the card, and I'm going to glue them on, but I'm going to have them hanging off both the right and the left side, and then I'll trim them off. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Now I know I don't need to glue all the way to the tip of this. So I'm just kind of concentrating my glue towards the center portion. I'll put that one on, then we'll put another one on. I'm probably leaving out not quite 1/4 of an inch in between these strips. This is such an easy design to use. There we go. And then our next one. This one we don't need a whole lot of glue at all since it's our bottom one. Getting a little wild with my glue here. All right. So we have those stuck on. I'm just going to turn this over, and then I'm going to cut these flush with my cardstock here. You could use your paper cutter for this too, but you may get your paper cutter all gluey. It's easier to get glue off your scissors than it is to get it off your cutter. So I like to use scissors for that. There we go. We have our design on there. Super simple. Okay, now we're going to layer our main panel up here. I have a piece of crumb cake, and this is 3 1/4 inch square. Our white is 3, so we're going to go out 1/4 of an inch with our crumb cake. I love little designs, especially if you work on little panels. So easy to put together because you don't have a whole bunch of space to fill up. But I think it packs a pretty good punch for fall. Okay, so we're going to add this to a pool party panel. And this pool party panel is 3 1/2 inches square. There we go. Now you could certainly pop this up if you wanted to have some drama, but I am not. I'm just going to glue it on. And I'm going to kind of put it up in the top left corner a bit so you can see more of that paper we put on there, that colored paper. I think it just makes things pop. So we have that on. I'm just going to turn it over and give it a rub so it adheres well. And there's the front of our card. Got the inside. And we're all ready. Here is my first card I did, my sample card. What do you think? Sentiment on the outside, sentiment on the inside. Kind of like both. And I think if you put a sentiment out here, you could not use such a bold image. You could do like a fine text one would probably be a little better. I think I would like that a little better. It's nice that we can just make multiples and do whatever. So thank you for joining me today. I hope this inspired you and that you get your ink out today and do some stamping. Take care. Toodles.